right, you're good to go.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
This
Good
is
morning.
this is Paul Sabin, Chair of the Finance Committee for the town of Penny Farms. It is August 10th, 2020. It is now 10:03 a.m. and the following people are here. Town staff David Cooper and Anita Cooper, Bill Brower, Paul Sabin, Tom Ryder, and Susan Kimsley. Before I begin, I want to read this disclosure, which we do at all these meetings. According to the Florida Municipal Officials Manual, although citizens are allowed to attend all meetings of the public body, there is no requirement that citizens be allowed to participate in these meetings. Citizens are permitted to participate in public hearings and legislative meetings, such as the town council meetings. There are two items on the agenda this morning, and I'm going to suggest that our format today is something like a workshop, meaning I'm going to ask each individual member of the committee for comments, feedback on both items. The first item being the developments of the workshop on the proposed budget that were discussed at the budget workshop that you all attended. And when I'm going to go last in my comments, both of these items. And secondly, I'm going to ask each member on the committee, when we get to item 2, to, as a committee member, by recommendation only today, make a recommendation as to your opinion of what the millage rate would be going forward into the new budget year. I think today is a good day for us to listen to each other, to listen to all the comments and opinions within the committee. This will give me the opportunity at the workshop for the council, which is this coming Friday, to communicate to the council the current thinking of the committee. Then next Monday, when we have our regular finance committee meeting, go over the financials of the previous month, a motion will be in order for the committee as to the millage. Is that fairly clear?
Sure.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
Okay, then let's start with the first item. Staff presented a total package relative to the new financial year, fiscal year coming up. And I will ask us to start. I'm going to, first person on my screen going left to right is Susan Kimsley. So Susan, the floor is yours for any questions that you've had since you've had time to look at this, comments or suggestions.
I like the proposals for the projects. I think they're valid and well needed. I did have a question about the new truck, and I was interested, does that funding come from the operating reserves figure?
In your
That's
tracking,
correct.
on your tracking
That's
sheet.
correct. Just take it straight out of the general fund and pay for it, just like we did the truck that we bought, the dump truck that we have now. We would not use any ad valorem money for that. Just take it straight out of the general fund and pay for it.
Okay,
Yes.
the second question is the current vehicle, would that be sold or retained as a backup?
It will be sold. There's going to be several vehicles that's going to be sold at one time. And you guys will get a list of it when we go to do it. We got that old 99 dump truck. We got a 98 Chevy car. We then the old 98 Ford Ranger. Yes, all of that will be sold as an asset, but it must, once I get it together, after I get a new truck, it will be presented to council for an asset being sold. Pictures will be taken and bids will be taken.
Okay, thank you. The only other, as I was referring to other, which Anita already answered or helped me with, is the building printed revenue column on the tracking revenue. And seeing that we're talking about 2020, 2021, it seems like we would want to include estimates, even if we don't know for sure, but some kind of estimate
That is going to be a
Which would-
challenging estimate at this time because, like I said, it would have been an average is about $2,500 to $3,000 dollars in revenue. When we do our building permits, we do things based on building permits being finalized. It's very hard because you can issue a permit in August of 2020, but it may not be completed until 21. That's when we know for sure the final expenses, the final net that the town gets from it, and it includes fully burdened salaries, supplies, equipment, everything is included. So those numbers do vary. I would hesitate to give you an estimate until after this quarter is over for the last quarter of this fiscal year to add to that tracking until after 9/30.
Plus, I just don't see PRC to be building like they have been. I don't think it's going to continue.
Well, I don't
So
know. Are
you-
they they're demoing 3 homes.
Yeah.
They might
Well,
do those 3, maybe.
I-
And they have
I
another one on
appreciate-
Caroline coming.
Difficult, if not impossible, to forecast revenue and expense
Right.
through 2021.
It is
And
difficult.
here
For
to-
building permits, it's very difficult.
to cover that.
Our most accurate way of measuring those is by quarter. It's the best we can do for that. I'm sorry. I wish I had a more concrete answer for you, Ms. Kinsey.
Bill R.
Are we all still connected? For some reason, I got
Yeah.
this. Okay, I got this
Yeah.
little message.
Bill?
Okay, I've looked over everything. I compliment Anita and David on the preparation that went into the budget and so forth this year. I have no major comments regarding it. I will probably have a comment when we get around to the ad valorem tax.
Okay.
Okay, if I can interject something here before we get much further. Please keep in mind, Finance Committee members, this budget was made using the rollback rate. When it comes to talk about the millage rate, this budget was made using the rollback rate of the 4.9634. So it was a starting point. When we get to that part, I just want you to know that's what, because numbers will be adjusted. If anything gets changed, then numbers will definitely be adjusted.
Everything changes. Up.
Everything, well, yeah, and it's really only a couple places that number would affect. The finals, when we pull out things, if we go less, I know where to pull that from, but the expenses will remain the same. There just may not be as much unrestricted capital to work with. That's the main difference. So
Well,
just so you all know.
Bill, go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
Yeah, Anita, since we had the workshop and such, you haven't gotten any more input from the county or so forth, and any additional variations in revenue and such, have you?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tom Ryder.
Okay, everything looked good, I thought, and it went well. I do want to make sure that we spend as much of this permit money, as we've got left over, as we can, including as much as we can get away with on the new truck.
Agreed.
And, that's about the only comment I've got.
Okay.
Okay.
To remodel the front office and some other things there, so
Right.
that will eat up another big portion of it.
Yeah, but we still have, what, 100?
If you notice in the past year, we're trying to get it down. We started with the 281,000 through 1920 fiscal year, And then for 2021, by the end of it,
As we go.
we're
Yeah.
down to 156. So we've done a good job spending about 150 of it within a year or two. And
Yeah.
but we will have some, probably a little bit of an increase as well. We're going to show net revenues for quarters in there. We'll have 5 quarters that'll show net revenues too. So, but we've managed to. We're doing our best to spend that money and get to where we're
Yeah.
about even for everything. So, you're correct on that. Okay.
Okay, then since we've.
Now, what about you, Mr.
have a
Shaven?
Comment on this first item. As Bill, I think everybody in their own way has said, I thought was a great job of preparation. I think it's well thought through, extraordinarily clear, and I want to thank the staff for a good job. I have no additional comments.
Thank you.
Now, let's move on to the second item. And what I do, just to repeat quickly, we're going to go through the same sequence again, starting with Susan in a moment. If you were, well, let's just put it this way. If you were asked to indicate your preference for a decision on the millage rate, what would it be? Given what you know now from having time to review this proposed budget, if you think there needs to be a downward turn at all, to suggest a figure, just so we can get some discussion on the table on this issue. And if you feel it's good, just to leave it with the current rollback rate with the figures that exist and indicate that. Okay, Susan, would you be willing, please, to make a comment on the millage?
Well, it's difficult to address the need for tax relief for the town residents, particularly with the coronavirus, while also thinking something between 4.5 as the high and 4 as the low.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to Bill Brower. Thank you, Susan.
All right. I've been doing some calculations and looking at this. And the concerns that I have, one of the things we've got to keep in mind, if we lower the millage rate, that means we lower the amount of revenue that we collect. And that amount of revenue then will be limited to that same amount in all future years unless we vote to increase it, which takes either a majority, super majority, or unanimous vote, depending on the amount that's going to be increased. And that's increasing the revenue into the town. If there's new construction that takes place in the town, that can provide taxes over and above the total amount from the rollback rate. However, I don't think we've got any plans for any major construction to take place within the next 2 years. If we were to reduce the rate to 4 mills, it would reduce the revenue by about $14,700. Again, if we look at the various projects we got, and David, one comment I will make too, regarding this, the projects. You know, I live on Caroline Boulevard, and Caroline Boulevard has been a major route for trucks in and out of here since construction of the pavilion started. And now, with the coronavirus and Lewis being blocked off in front of the dining room, trucks are going back up and down Caroline again. And Caroline, as you mentioned at the workshop, is going to need to be resurfaced. And that's going to be a major expenditure. So if we reduced our revenue income by $14,000 per year, and it's going to cost $150,000 to redo Caroline, we only got collected that money for 10 years, then we can do it. I'm being a little facetious there. I just think we've got to take a heritage are. And when I've done the breakdown for long-term capital projects, the capital, 5-year capital improvement plan, you know, we could be looking at next year overall spending in from ad valorem of up to $80,000. And we're not going to have that much. So I right now am in favor of keeping the millage rate at the rollback rate, which means we don't have to do anything as far as the vote such is concerned.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Tom?
Yeah, I agree with Bill. I think we need to keep it where it is. I mean, we can certainly pay for, you know, part of the new truck out of the ad valorem, you know, or do something worthwhile with it, and then, you know, as he's talking about, continue to maintain a fund that we can, you know, eventually use to offset, you know, expenses that we wouldn't otherwise be able to afford.
And if I could just,
I've thought a lot about this, obviously, the point that Susan raised about the, you know, the challenge we're in right now with this pandemic, and remembering the history of last year when we set the rate that we're currently at, and some of the reactions and repercussions that came with that, which are not by our doing, but they occurred. And so as of today, my recommendation, and this is subject to change next week, is that we would reduce it to 4.5. It's not much, but it indicates at least we're taking into consideration that we're not living in a good climate for the citizens of this town that are still employed or those that are retired, and the issues with the corporation. So that's my opinion as of today, and like I say, that's subject to change. Any other comments? David, would you like to chime in on anything relative to this?
yeah, I will. And I'm just sitting here, and keep in mind, if you go to a 4.5, you're still going to lose $7,000 a year if you go to a 4.5. Also keep in mind that we gave away $6,000 last year from CCUA, if you remember,
Yep.
because we was trying to mend ends with different things to try to get a unity back within the town. So now you take the 7,000, you take the 6,000 we give away, now you're at 13,000. And when we proposed the budget and we put all the capital projects in there, if you notice, one of the big issues that with the Penny retirement community was sidewalks. Okay, I have located every single sidewalk in this town that needs to be replaced or grinded down. It's been GIS, it's been put on diamond maps. I proposed $10,000 just for that. That issue will go away with the Penny retirement community residents. That's a major, major thing. Number one, I think, to show the residents that we're doing something with ad valorem tax. If the other things you've seen in there, I tried to put other things in there like stormwater drains and different things that residents have asked in different areas, to where the money is spread it out into the entire community, which everybody gets a little piece of the tax money that's made an improvement around their surroundings. So, I mean, council will, I know that the finance committee will take and make their recommendations. I know that the council will make the final decision, but please keep in mind what you're giving up at the same time. Now, CCUA, I tell you again, is probably going, every year they come through with an increase. We gave away the $6,000 last year because all of the ruckus going on. Are we going to give it away again this year? Or are we going to pass it through? I don't think we can continue every year to keep giving money away and be able to survive. That's my personal opinion. I'm only giving that to you. You're talking about a $7,000 reduction if you go. We're predicted with the rollback rate to get $75,817. That's the rollback rate. If you go a 4.5, the prediction, and it's only a prediction, the 6 did was took our rollback rate, subtracted to a 4.5, and that's what you're losing. So I understand where everybody's coming from, but it's going to take us many years to get some of these projects done if we keep going backwards.
Let me just make one additional comment, David, to you off what you just so clearly stated, which I appreciate. I'm only one member who votes on the council.
Yes, sir.
As far as the CCUA goes, my position has always been, we gave it away, we made that decision.
Right.
My opinion is we don't do it again. We hold the line firm on where we are. We can't afford to do that, irregardless of what we do on the millage. We just cannot continue to not pass along the reductions that come, because there will probably be more in some form. Okay.
Mr. Saban,
now that we've gone around,
could I ask a question real quick, please?
yes, please.
Town manager, for the record, you would like to keep it at the rollback rate?
I would like to see it stay at the 4.9 rollback rate is what I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Okay.
For giving that in.
And also, I have one other comment for the committee to consider when you're making these decisions. It was brought up about the CCUA being given away. If you go lower, what you're going to lose. However, I'll tell you another area to consider when making your decision is the state revenues. COVID-19 has definitely significantly impacted those revenues to the town. We have taken a loss, and I don't know how long those losses are going to continue for. I'm one of the conspiracy theories that thinks that after the election it's going to start easing off. But besides that, in the meantime, we're losing revenues there, and we're losing, according to the tracking of those revenues, based on the new budget, when I did the income for the general fund, let me go to that page real quick. We lost quite a bit just in the 5 state revenues that we receive. So I don't know how long that's going to continue. It's anybody's guess. So I don't have any influence one way or another. I just prepare the paperwork and provide the facts to you. But we need to guarantee.
That's a good point that you brought up.
We need to guarantee some of these things. The franchise fee, or kind of compensate for some of the areas that we are losing in. Franchise fees and state revenues are variables for the remainder of this year, at least. So that's something else to consider when you make your decision on a millage rate, because that's a solid rate. That's something that won't change. So I just wanted to add that as a factor. This is by no means a final decision. This is something for the committee to consider when they provide their recommendation to the town council. And I'm done.
And Anita, can I make another comment?
Yes.
Keep in mind too that the other loss, when you look at the revenue that you're forecasting, the interest that we're collecting
is so much lower. That's correct. It's hit rock bottom.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
And I don't see that interest changing within the next year.
Yeah, I don't either.
Nope, I don't either.
I don't either. That's another one that we lost a lot of revenue on, is the interest that we received
We
on our
have
bank
no
accounts.
control over that whatsoever.
No, we don't. We're losing in a lot of areas.
I would ask,
You froze. Hold on.
before the workshop Friday, the council workshop, to just summarize, I was making notes, summarize just items that were around each of those items. You
Yes.
follow me?
Yes, that'd be
I'd like to have that figure when I report out our discussion today. Both, the individual, what I'm going to do in the reporting Friday is indicate that our first go around on the committee, there were basically two today. There were two who said of a slight reduction. Was it a range between 4.5 and 4.0, and one at 4.5. I'm not going to put names with it. Just going to say that was a first informal sharing of the committee. And I think what Friday will do, it will give us a chance to get to read the reaction of the other council members.
one last
because I
time
think-
before you make your
One
recommendation.
last time. And then we have the meeting next week of the committee when we will make a final decision as a committee on this. Any comments on that? I think that's the fairest way to do it.
Okay.
Bill, you agree? Fine.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you all making time today. I knew this wouldn't be a long meeting, but I didn't feel comfortable at the workshop trying to comment on the committee's thinking, which is an ongoing process until we have our official meeting next Monday. Or I mean, our regular meeting next Monday. So I appreciate having the feedback. And David, you have any other comments you want to make?
Yes, sir. I'd like to bring up, first of all, thank every one of you for, it's been absolutely a pleasure to work with the Finance Committee. You guys are just absolutely wonderful. But I do want to bring up one thing that I'm very deep into, that I've told you about. The Reinholdts want to replat the town. And I'll tell you a real short version of it. I'm taking the stance right now that we own the platted streets. I have documentation of the plat. I have documentation of a letter. I got documentation of an ordinance we got. George Egan is supposed to be making his final comments and sending me all that stuff this week, and I'll take a look at it. I did hire an attorney to help me get started with this and give me some advice on it. We will be getting a bill from her because I decided not to go any further with the attorney. We will be getting a bill from her for around $2,500. So I want you to know that's coming. I'm taking the stand. The Reinholdts have a lot of money. And if I'm gonna be very politically correct when I meet with them, and but I'm gonna take the stance as we own them. But if they say no, I'm gonna say, okay, do you have some paperwork that we don't have? And I'm gonna let them prove it instead of us spending the money. I'm going to make them prove it. Okay, let me see what kind of paperwork and go from there. I talked to them. Easily could spend because they charge you $325 an hour, $175 an hour for title searches, all that. I don't think it's necessary. I truly believe did want to bring you up, let you know what I'm thinking on that and the direction I'm taking on it. It will come to a point to where I will have a meeting and I will ask Mr. Saban to join me in that meeting with the Reinhold Corporation. But I'm trying to build us a baseline first. know, but, when you total up all of the streets in the town of Penny Farms that's platted, we've looked at all of it. You're looking at 35 acres of land. And then no way in the world, the town, we are going to give away 35 acres of land without coming to some type of agreement. Okay, what are you going to do for the town? Now this is all council decision. I am at the early stage of it. I do all of the legwork, then I bring it to council. This is not Dave Cooper making a decision. I only give council my opinion of where that I think they ought to go. So, but I'm not going to spend any more of the town's money at this time. I think I'm going to sit back and see what they got to say, but I truly feel like we own them.
Thank you, David. Any comments from the committee or questions for David on this?
No.
Okay,
No,
go ahead, Bill. Well, not now?
we don't have any questions now.
Okay. Okay. Well,
My only suggestion, my last comment, would please make note of the reminder dates at the bottom of the agenda where we have the town council workshop this Friday, which I will make sure all of the finance committee gets its invitation to. We have the regular finance committee on Monday. And please don't forget that the regular town council meeting will be held Wednesday. Thank goodness Miss Ryder noticed it. I have elections here on Tuesday, so we changed it to Wednesday.
The election,
Okay? Same time as usual. Any questions on that?
okay, then, any other questions? If not,
Oh,
second, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you all, and we hope all of you can workshop. And then, of course, we'll be hoping to see all of you next Monday for our regular meeting. So we get through this round of meetings, the intensity of our time commitment will slack up a bit, but I appreciate everybody hanging in there. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
Thank you. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to call me. I'll be happy to answer anything that you need.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, see you the next time.
Okay. So 4.5. I think just because of the flack that he got both from PRC and the town. Well, dollars. How the hell do we get out of this thing? Okay, there goes the sound. I mean,